You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Poet.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
All right, everybody. Welcome to First Contact Radio. Good evening, Earthlings. How you doing tonight? This is Josh Poet, and I will be with you for the next 2 hours. First Contact Radio, for those of you who have never heard the show, has been going on for the last 5 years. For those of you who are coming over here from the internet, welcome. So what we do, I start off each and every show with what I call the cosmic weather. The cosmic weather is a compilation of things like astrology, tarot, things to help us understand the weather. Because basically, everything in the universe is energy. And so since everything is energy, if we can look at that energy, find a way to understand that and work with it, we can be more effective in life. So henceforth, we look at things that affect the energy around us. The planets and the stars are one of those things. So we take a good look and see. So today, what we have, and every single day, there's two signs, the sun and the moon. The sun represents the conscious mind, the moon the unconscious. So our sun sign right now is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. So just think of the basic elements. Fire. Fire moves. So with Sagittarius, you have something that moves. It's not going to stay still. Fire is hot. So the element and the idea of Sagittarius, there's something hot about it because of the ideas. Fire represents ideas and creativity. So this is a time where that energy is out there. There's creativity, but there's truthfulness that's associated with. And that truthfulness with the Sagittarius is really expanded out into the world because Jupiter is a planet that works with Sagittarius. And whenever Jupiter's in the mix, everything around it seems to get expanded. So we have this idea of Sagittarius, which is the truth bringer, and a time of truthfulness, and that's where our mind is right now. Our subconscious mind currently is in Pisces, and Pisces is a water sign. Water can stay still, it can move, but water represents our emotions, our feelings, it represents love. And so Pisces is a symbol that is, and is a sign that is dealing with emotional things. So with the two mix, what we have is our conscious mind is it has these ideas, this fire, this truthfulness, and our unconscious mind, Pisces, is trying to make sense of it all, try to understand our feelings, making our way through. In the tarot cards, the two cards that represent these two would be the Temperance card that represents represents Sagittarius, and the card of the moon represents Pisces. Well, one of them teaches us the lessons of faith, and one is the lessons of truth. And we need to have those two things as we walk through life. So some of the other aspects and things that we've got going on later today, there's a square coming up tonight, and that is a square between our moon sign Pisces and Venus. So Venus is all about love and imagination. So when there's a lesson or a square, there's some sort of a lesson that we need to be dealing with. So our emotions are going to be exploring our imagination and see what's going on in there. Our numerology for today has been the number 2. And the way we've arrived at the numerology is you simply add up all the numbers of the day. So we have 11, 29, 2014. You add them all together, 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 9 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4, and you have 20. And that 2 is a 2 and a 0. You add those together, that's a 2. And this is a process called theosophic subtraction or addition. It's, you'll hear different terms, but the whole idea is reducing everything down to one common number. And we look at that number, 2, that's our numerology for today. What does that mean? It simply means that when we look at life based upon the numbers of the Gregorian calendar, and a calendar is an agreement, we all are working upon this agreement that time is based on this. We have these many days in a month, these many months in a year. So based on this agreement of looking at time, today the numerology is number 2. In the series of numbers, it's the second number. It's a number about challenge. It's a number that is of balance. It's where that number 1 energy pulls itself apart and now is needing to find balance with itself. That's where the challenge comes. In the tarot cards, the 2 would be the card of the High Priestess. The High Priestess is all about going into that inner temple that we have. Okay, so that's a numerology for today. The Tree of Life, I've got the link up at the website so you can check it out. I'm not able to get the web stream going at the moment. I'm trying to do a simulcast with the web stream. I'll get that going eventually. You will see. Okay, now let's take a further look at our moon sign. I was telling you a little bit about that. Every day at this point, I like to get a little more in depth for you. The moon sign is called the corporal intelligence. It's number 18. Hebrew letter Quath, that means back of the head. And it teaches us the lesson that we eventually in life get to a point where we've gotten to the gates of what we know, and then we have to go past that. And going past that into the unknown is where faith comes in. And we look at the sun, and the sun's a light in the sky that reminds us that the moon is still out, even though we don't see it, because the sun reflects back a little piece of the moon reflects back a little piece of the sun. So we shine this light into our life, and we're reminded we have faith that everything's going to work out. The current moon phase is at the first quarter. We're 57% of the way full. We're making our way up to a full moon. We'll be there in about a week. Tonight, if you go out and you take a look up at the sky, it says the moon stands high in the south. The western side of the great square of Pegasus is pointing down to it from above. And as it gets to be about 10 or 11 p.m., the dim little dipper hangs straight down from Polaris. So if you're looking up at the sky, that's what you're going to see. Today in the Mayan Oracle, the Dreamspell Oracle has been a 6-tone day. 6 warrior, the rhythmic warrior. Well, on the Mayan Zolkin, the time is 11 Mulak. Okay, just different ways we look at time. And understanding the day's space weather, currently our solar wind is 373.8 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is quiet between a 1 and a 2. Coronal holes, we have a couple forming, but nothing directly facing us. However, we do have a notification here that we will get hit with some solar wind coming from those holes in the past week. M-class flare possibilities up to 50 now from 45. X-class is still hanging at 5. Geomagnetic storm activity has jumped quite a bit in the mid-latitudes. It's 25% chance and 35% or 30% chance up in the high latitudes. So get your cameras ready. You could have some good sky shows. And last on the Jewish calendar today is 7 Kislev, the month Kislev, the day 7. Daily thought is the only child. Why do parents love their children? Because the lower world reflects the higher world, and above there is a parent and he loves his children. Why do parents of an only child have such an unbound love for their child? Because this is the truest reflection of the world above. Above each one of us is an only child, and his love for us is unbounded. And there you have it. That's the cosmic weather for today, a compilation of the energies that we're working with. This gets us started, so we're going to work from here. So as we go through the rest of the show, we're going to build on this and see and begin to understand how these energies are working in our daily lives. So if we understand those, we can understand life a little bit better. There you go. That gets us started. My name's Josh Poet. This is First Contact Radio. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Helps Weight Loss is the most complete weight loss resource on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The helps door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. AskTheFatManHelpsWeightLoss.com is the place to go.
KCAA.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Welcome back to First Contact Radio. So a lot going on in the world these days. Wow. What a crazy amount of world that we're dealing with. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So where is it going to lead? That's the big question. If we look at the current events of this week, we are barraged by the story of what's going on in Ferguson, and that is really a tragic event all around, any way you look at it. One thing, that I think it is bringing out is a discussion that seems to need to happen in this country, because we're dealing with issues that really require a lot more of us to discuss where we've been, because we've evolved as a race. We've evolved as a race of human beings, and we need to look at ourselves in that regard. All the separations and the segregations of the past, that's part of the past. We need to let all that go, and so I think it's just something that's going on. But I also want to say that there is a real issue with police brutality that's going on in this country as well, and that can't be overlooked, because police brutality that's going on is affecting everyone, no matter what color you are, no matter what religion you are. There's examples, and we can see it. So the question is, why is there this bad behavior that's going on? What's happening within the police departments? And the police departments are acting the way that they're acting because of the way the people, and they're acting this way because of the laws. The whole system is all kind of goofy, and how it's interacting with each other. If you have any questions, you want to call in, talk about this, 888-909-1050 is the number. But I think, I think we really need to pay attention. Some of the stories that came out were talking about people that have been arrested. There were 16 people arrested in Ferguson the other day. 16 of those people were all from someplace else. They weren't from there, so they were agitators who came into that town to cause trouble. That's not good. When something happens like that, you have to ask, why is this going on? Why are these people coming in here? And when you hear about other rallies organized around the country, you begin to understand that there is a coordinated event that is taking place. In my opinion, I believe that this is an attempt to push a racism button, to push the button to see if people are going to fight with each other out there, like has happened in the past. But fortunately, people these days are a bit smarter than they have been in the past, and people are asking more questions. And so, though there are some that are still caught up in the gang and the fighting and the mentality that's going on out there, there seems to be a lot more that are standing up against it, which is good. It seems hopeful that we're not stuck, because that would really, really be bad. That would really be bad if we were in that place. But it's crazy. I was watching videos the other day. What's that? As I was watching videos the other day of the people going into the stores. My goodness, just to see that. We've got some issues in society that really need to be addressed, and we seem to have a whole variety of ways in which we're dealing with it. Some people aren't dealing with it well and are all out of whack, and some people are dealing with it very well. And we seem to need to find a way to come together. So what else is going on? Let me take a look here. Some of the other important news that we need to be aware of. I like to check out, the alternative news sites. I encourage everybody to do that. Simply for knowing. We're not going to stay on this. I like to cover this briefly. We'll take care of it in this segment, and then we're going to move on from here, because we don't want to be stupid. There's things going on in the world, and we want to make sure we are aware of what's going on so we're not caught up. That's the most important thing, not to get caught up, awareness. Have you noticed that all of the talk about the immigrants and immigration died down, and now all that there is out there are stories about Ferguson? What happened with that? And the Ebola. That talk has died down. There's seems to be these stories that push society along, and they push them along until those stories are no longer useful, and then another story comes and it pushes them along. And people are really swept up unless one really has a strong mind to get through this time, because it's nutty. It's nutty. You can tell when you walk out in the world, the people that you meet every day, people you meet, what you talk to them about, the concerns, the television shows that are out there. Later on in the show, I'm going to, in the second hour, I'm going to bring up some information about media. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But, you know, media has played an important part in people's lives, and we really need to take a look at where media is today in the realms of true disclosure of information versus where it needs to be. Because there's somehow within the system, there's information that's not being connected. Some people are getting it, some people aren't. And it doesn't seem like there should be that much of a divide in a society that has had the opportunities we've had as a country to grow together and to learn together. So that's what's going on with there. And I think for anybody who really cares about this country, I think it's important to pay attention to what our politicians do, to understand what's going on behind the scenes. I don't trust any of them. I don't think we've had strong leadership in this country for a long, long while. As far as the guy who's in office right now, I believe he's doing everything that he said he was going to do to fundamentally change America. That means to change the fundamental values of this country, and he has done that. And every single value that we Americans have held dear, this man has gone and he has attacked. And this country is different, and this country is in a violent, war-like place that it wasn't in before he went into office. And I didn't like what happened with the guy before him, but it was different than what's going on now. And the sad part about this is there's a background about this man that's been investigated for years that is being dismissed in the media. Because this man, you know, put a fraudulent document up on the website that has been investigated forensically and determined to be an absolute forgery. A crime that would put you or I or anybody else in jail. But when we have criminals that are running the Department of Justice and criminals that are in the branches, the judicial branches, and on and on and on, we've got a problem. So we need to look at this, and I think the people of this country need to take a good, hard look at what's going on, because the country is being pulled out from under our feet. It's just being pulled out right under our noses. And many Americans seem to still be unaware of what's going on. If you spend some time reading the news on the internet, reading the forums, seeing what's going on out there around the rest of the world, they seem to know. Americans seem to be the last ones to know that our country is being destroyed. And other countries around the world are all just watching and wondering why we're allowing it to happen. And it certainly seems like it. Certainly seems like it. So I'm hoping that we can make a change. Now, I believe that we can make changes, and the purpose of this particular show is to help us along the way. So, as I said, even though I'm bringing these things up now so you're aware of them, by the end of the show, we're going to do something that provides a solution. Because all the shows I do, for all you new listeners, always end with a prayer and a meditation. Because we want to find a positive way to take this energy and turn it around. Because I know that I'm not going to sit back, and I'm not going to allow any other groups out there in this world dictate the energy that I have to live in. I'm not going to live in a world of fear or whatever mind control games they want to play, not when I've lived a life on the planet being taught about a great creator and the strength that comes when one believes in the great creator and the power that flows through us. So I don't believe that those two things can exist in the same thing. So I choose God, I choose love, I choose that strength, and in that, there's no room for the lies, there's no room for the corruption that's going on. that means the only thing that there is to do is to provide a solution, and that's what we need to do. We are the solution. We are the ones we have been waiting for. And when we get that as Americans, boy, we're really going to be doing good. All right, so that's kind of, some of the gist of what's going on. I mean, there's certainly more, but, the main gist right now is society is really having, I believe, a social experiment taking place. And we need to understand what's going on. This can't escalate into a race war. And there are those out there trying to push this into that. This can't happen. This can't happen. And we, as Americans, need to put our foot down and decide that that's not going to happen. Because they're pushing, and they're going to keep pushing real hard. But if you know that, and we know that, and we stand up against it, then we'll stand up against the tyranny that they're trying to spread. Okay? All right, so there you have it. UFO news is going to be up next. I'm going to jump away for a moment. Before I do, I want to let you know about Helps Weight Loss. Helps is our sponsor. Helps Weight Loss is the most complete weight loss resource on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The Helps door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. Ask the Fat Man. HelpsWeightLoss.com is the place to go. All right, this is Josh Poet. You're listening to First Contact Radio. I'll be back.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Helps Weight Loss is the most complete weight loss resource on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The Helps door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. Ask the Fat Man. HelpsWeightLoss.com is the place to go.
KCAA.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Josh Poet. You're listening to First Contact Radio, and UFO News is up next. So, what have we got today in UFO News? Let me pull up stories here. And we've got a lot. Dirk Bradshaw is also here with us. He'll be here momentarily. Let me go here. Here we go. All right. First thing I want to remind you about is the Million Facts on March, okay? Factsonwashington.org. Stephen Bassett did an interview with him 3 weeks ago at the One Step Beyond Imagination, and he talked about the congressional hearing, the DVDs that have been sent out to the former members of Congress, and now there is this full-on campaign that is intended to get them to meet with him when he comes to Washington, D.C. So that is very important that you help this cause. I've got this and another link at firstcontactradio.com so you could follow the social program that will be going on. Now, what we have also here is Triangle UFO travels under 150 feet above Toledo City in Ohio. An Ohio resident witnessed a fast-moving triangular-shaped UFO under 150 feet in altitude while driving along Toledo Road in southern direction, Route 475 approaching Turnpike Underpass, according to a testimony from the MUFON database. The witness thought that it was a plane, particularly a Lear jet, flying at low altitude across the highway. The UFO had one light at each end and one in the center. It had no strobe light, and the witness did not hear any sound from the moving UFO despite flying at very low altitude. So the story will be available, First Contact Radio. So you can check that out. And here's a story about Area 51. Secret graveyards at Area 51. The mysterious Area 51 graveyards where secret military technologies go to die. Top secret aircraft, even those that have been publicly disclosed, remain mysterious as long after emerging from the black world. When and if secret planes are declassified, they're treated differently from other military aircraft, and the specifics of their hardware may remain under wraps for decades. While some ultimately go to museums, others are placed into storage well away from the prying eyes, awaiting the fate that may make years to arrive. One such fate has been the befallen, crashed, retired, or failed projects over the decades is burial. Aircraft have literally been dragged into deep pits miles from public land, often near the enigmatic Groom Lake test site in Nevada, famously known as Area 51. Not only does Groom serve as a testing ground for the U.S. government's most advanced programs, it also serves as the final resting place of many of its most secret aircraft. Some of these classified planes have never been publicly acknowledged. So there you have it. That's a couple stories for you. Dirk Bradshaw's here. He has a few more. Dirk, how you doing? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. What do we got going on tonight?
Well, first off, Josh, it is wonderful to be back on First Contact Radio. I suppose this is our weekend edition.
This is our weekend edition, absolutely. We started 5 years ago, Dirk, and here we are now, like 1,270 shows later, and now we're on AM radio here, so things have moved along. Indeed it has. It's very exciting to be back here. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about a secret space program. NASA is in, and this is according to a former NASA employee, that NASA is in constant contact with aliens. This comes from a woman named Jackie. That's all we know her as is Jackie, and she's a former NASA employee. She said that she had seen two humans walking on Mars in 1979. That's a long time ago. Several UFO sites have supported these claims by suggesting that it was part of a secret program which had started in 1968. According to these sites, humans landed on Mars as part of this secret program. Some theorists suggest that this reminds them of Project Serpo. Have you ever heard of Project Serpo?
I have heard about it. Why don't you refresh my memory?
This is for all the people who have not heard of Project Serpo. It was a top-secret exchange program between the government of the United States and a planet called Serpo. In November of 2005, what was that?
Go ahead.
Oh, in November of 2005, an anonymous person claimed to be working for the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency sent out information about Project Serpo. Anonymous, that's the name he goes by, claimed that 6 aliens were recovered from the site of the Roswell crash. He also claims that aliens, living or dead, were not recovered from the site. Claims about aliens living or dead that were recovered from the site of the Roswell crash was not new. In this case, it was stated that an alien supervisor called EB-1 had allegedly organized for 12 specialty trained people to visit Serpo. The mission took place in 1965, and the specifically trained people remained in Serpo for a span of 13 years until 1978. 2 of them died, while 2 others remained on the planet. The others returned to Earth, and after the return to Earth, they died due to exposure to high amounts of radiation on planet Serpo. So that was a very interesting story we had about, our past and I guess our future. And a lot of people claim that, the Mars rover and all this stuff is just a charade, just to keep us off point on what's going on out there.
Right. Well, we certainly have a lot of reports that come in, of these different planets that are out there. So it's always cool when we hear about something that's been explored a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. This is the first time I've ever heard of Project Serpo. It wasn't until we worked on this story that I first heard about it. And what is some of the stuff you've heard about it?
Well, I pulled up some good sites here, just to jump into it. Here's a story over at Wikipedia. It kind of really gets into it good. There are a number of planets or moons whose existence is not supported by scientific evidence, but are proposed by various astrologers, pseudoscientists, conspiracy theorists, or certain religious groups. The central fire or hearth of the universe is a fiery celestial body hypothesized by the pre-Socratic philosopher. He talks about the various bodies moving around it here. Let's see here. Planet Serpo. Planet Serpo. There we go. Planet Serpo is the name of an alleged top-secret exchange program between the United States government and an alien planet called Serpo. Details of the alleged exchange program have appeared in several UFO conspiracy stories, including one incident in 1983. Investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe claimed to be able to supply the Air Force records with the exchange for her story. ET factor only pulled out providing evidence to substantiate the story. So very interesting, very interesting. A story out there that you have some who say is real, some who say aren't.
Well, it looks like there's one of the people who came, or I guess not one of the people who came back, but there's actually even books written about the secret journey to planet Serpo. They can be found on Amazon.com, which is really interesting. I mean, that there's just so much about it, and this is the first, like I said, this is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Right. Cool. Well, very cool story. So yeah, it kind of sounds like Nibiru. We have this planet out there that we've had discussions about for such a long time, that Zechariah wrote about, that others wrote about, and here we're trying to still figure out if it's there. Do you think it's out there? What do you think?
Well, I think that there is such an enormous amount of people who have researched this. I mean, have spent their entire lives researching Nibiru, and there's nothing that can back them down from what they've found. And some of the evidence that they found is very compelling. And even there's been some close calls with NASA in which they found some stuff out there, and they were a little hesitant to say that it was a planet or if it was Nibiru or some of the other things. But again, when you have people who've dedicated their entire lives to getting information about this, collecting information, and these are not just conspiracy theorists. These are scientists. These are some very brilliant people out there who are convinced that there is a planet, and if I'm not mistaken, it is heading towards Earth.
That's right. And there's a section. Have you seen the Google Sky Map where there's a chunk taken out, a big square, and there are those who have shown him what they believe was in that square, which looks like a huge body, and this was just blocked out. There's a lot of times that happens. If you go look at the Google Maps, you'll find these places where somebody decided it wasn't important to show what was in that area of space, and it gets blocked right out.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's just they don't want to cause a panic.
Right.
If you go on websites like even YouTube, there's people out there who have filmed it. Filmed this planet coming, and there's no mention of it anywhere else. And yet there it is.
There it is.
I don't understand. I don't understand why it would be such a big secret unless it is truly heading towards Earth.
Well, part of the concern that's been with Nibiru is that if it gets close enough, is there going to be disaster to our planet? And that's what seems to be a lot of concern, because in the past, the stories indicate that there was. Just because there was in the past doesn't mean that there will be. There's, one of the theories is that because it gets close, we'll be affected by the gravitational pull to such a way that our planet will be affected, cause earthquakes and, tidal waves and things like that. However, there have been bodies between the sun and the Earth that have gone by that are larger than the Earth, and here we are. We still haven't been affected. There's spaceships that appear up there by the sun, and we're still here. So I think that there's more for us to learn and understand about what's going on than just the regular old destruction stories.
Of course, and the fear. But what's so interesting is that Nibiru has been around since the Mayans and the Anunnaki, and I mean this is something that's been around for centuries. So it's nothing new. It's nothing new at all. I mean, again, the Mayans were some of the greatest sky watchers ever, and they recorded information about it. So it's compelling, the evidence.
Well, very good, Dirk. All right, so we're going to jump away to a break. When we come back, we're going to jump into a few more stories. This time we're going to talk about Kennedy. So hang tight, Dirk, and everybody else, stay tuned. We'll be back after we do our business here, and stay tuned. You're listening to First Contact Radio.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Helps Weight Loss is the most complete weight loss resource on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The Helps door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. Ask the Fat Man. HelpsWeightLoss.com is the place to go.
Other talk stations use words like savage. Sounds brutal. Hey, it's all good. Your superstation, AM1050, News Talk KCAA.
Back, everyone. First Contact Radio. I'm here with Dirk Bradshaw. We're talking UFO news. When we last left, our what we're going to talk about now is we want to get into some stories about John F. Kennedy. So, Dirk, why don't you start things off? I've got the story that you had sent me here.
Sure.
We can kind of go from right there.
Yeah, this has been a pretty big story on the web recently. And in case you haven't heard, we're going to tell you all about it. Basically, they're asking the question, was JFK killed because of his interest in aliens? A secret memo shows President demanded UFO files 10 days before his death. An uncovered letter written by John F. Kennedy to the head of the CIA shows that the president demanded to be shown highly confidential documents about UFOs 10 days before his assassination. The secret memo is one of two letters written by JFK asking for information about the paranormal on November 12, 1963, which have been released by the CIA for the first time. Alien researchers say the latest documents released by the CIA add weight to the suggestion that the president could have been shot to stop him from discovering the truth about UFOs. The undated memo contains a reference to Lancer, which I'm sure you know and many people know was JFK's Secret Service code name. On the first page, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency wrote, "As you must know, Lancer has made some inquiries regarding our activities, which we cannot allow. Please submit your views no later than October. Your action to this matter is critical to the continuance of the group." Now, the current owner of the memo, who bought it from Timothy Cooper in 2001, said that it shows that when JFK asked questions about the UFOs, that the CIA bumped him off. UFO investigator Robert Woods said that he's tested the paper, and it was printed on the ink age watermarks and font types and other markings. And he said he hired a forensic company to check the age of the ink and check several other things to see if they can figure out a date using the same techniques that they use in a court of law. Now, those things have not come to light yet, but as soon as they do, we will tell you about it. Now, the second memo was sent to the NASA administrator. The president expressed a desire for cooperation with the former Soviet Union on mutual outer space activities. So, again, very intriguing. Is this a reason for Kennedy to be assassinated? It adds very compelling argument.
It does indeed, and there's certainly plenty of good information about this. I mean, it makes sense. He was trying to talk to Gorbachev. He wanted to expand things. The CIA had really locked things down up to that point. They didn't want the information to get out, and apparently the information was above his pay grade. And once he pushed a little bit too hard, that was it. They didn't like that. They didn't like that, not to mention the fact that the Federal Reserve, he wanted to close them down. He was just wanting to do good things that would really benefit. I mean, imagine if we could have had the Federal Reserve closed down. Imagine if he would have followed through with that. Imagine if he might have gone through, he might have been the president to disclose what was going on with aliens.
Right. And, there was an go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
While we were looking for information about this JFK conspiracy, we stumbled across several sites containing what is supposedly a speech that Kennedy was going to give in Dallas, revealing that the U.S. government had been in contact with intelligent beings from other civilizations. Have you ever read that speech?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's so interesting. And it's not just one site. There's zillions of sites that actually have the same speech.
Mm-hmm. It would have been a game changer, but that speech never made it. It was said that it was taken out and it was found years later by an aide who had it in a lockbox, and then it made its way in the world. But yeah, pretty amazing. Who would have thought John F. Kennedy and extraterrestrials? But I've got some other stuff here that relates to him. Here's evidence emerges that Monroe planned to reveal she and JFK saw some crashed UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
They were both. This one's comparison of Monroe wiretap document with declassified CIA information report. It says new evidence has been released supporting the authenticity of a leaked CIA document allegedly of wiretaps of Marilyn Monroe and her friends shortly before her suspicious death in August 1962. The wiretap document reveals that Monroe was planning to give a press conference about what President Kennedy had told her of a visit to an undisclosed Air Force facility where he saw the debris of crashed UFO. The Monroe wiretap document was first leaked in 1992 to a UFO researcher and was made public in 1994. It has not been confirmed by the CIA to be genuine and remains open to dispute. The new evidence that was revealed yesterday shows that the leaked document confirms closely to the standard classified information report used by the CIA in 1963. So, interesting, that they wanted to expose more. Here was Kennedy.
I'm just reading the speech right now, and it's just amazing, some of the stuff. Can I quote a little line for you?
Yeah, why don't you read some of that for those who haven't heard it?
Here's just a line that just it pretty much explains exactly. It's just him coming clean, basically. And part of it says, "Citizens of this earth, we are not alone. God, in his infinite wisdom, has seen fit to populate his universe with other beings, intelligent creatures such as ourselves. How can I state this with such authority? In the year 1947, our military forces recovered from the dry New Mexico desert the remains of an aircraft of unknown origin. Science soon determined that this vehicle came from the far reaches of outer space, and since that time, our government has made contact with creators of that spacecraft. Though this news may sound fantastic and indeed terrifying, I ask you not to greet it with undue fear or pessimism. I assure you, as your president, that these beings mean us no harm." That just tells us right off the bat, he knew about these aliens. He met these aliens. He knew, as the president, he was going to relay to us that these aliens meant no harm. How would he know that unless he physically met them himself?
Exactly. And imagine what that would have done if he would have had that opportunity to give that speech and to say that. He would have been the disclosure president. If this memo and everything is as people say it is, that's it's too bad we didn't really get to see the results of that. It's too bad.
And they always talk about the big book that the president gets when he takes office, and in there is all the information. I remember Clinton talking about it and Obama talking about it. And I remember when Obama took office, he was talking about how he was going to be the disclosure president. He was going to tell the world about what he knew. And then he cowardly decided not to do that. But, I am positive that big book, it irks me, the cowardness of all of these people. They had the opportunity. There is the information. And none of them had the you-know-whats to say, I know what's going on, and you don't have anything to fear. And it seems as if we had nothing to fear. The president himself was about to tell us there's nothing to fear. It's as if the government wants us to fear it.
Exactly. Well, that seems to be what's going on now. Fear is a tactic that's used quite a bit. They knew the Project Blue Book later disbanded, and that what they came up with an analysis that there wasn't anything for us to fear. And so we need to take a look at why we're told this story of fear all the time. The other day I did a story, and you can find the link to yesterday's show on Phil Schneider. You know the story of Phil Schneider, who was the contractor went down, was helping to build the underground bases. And in one of these bases in New Mexico, they came into a facility where he encountered a couple of aliens. And first thing he described was the smell. The second thing he described was they looked different, but they were humanoid. They never attacked him. He never says in the story that they attacked him. He instantly pulled out his gun, shot and killed two of them, and then they did something. They emitted this ray that hurt him. But he attacked first, and I think that's what comes when we have a fear of something we don't know. How many people would attack aliens first if they saw one, especially if they look different? You keep passing that fear and you don't let people know that they're not going to hurt you. That possibility truly exists.
I think that movies and television shows, they perpetuate that fear.
Absolutely.
I think one of the best films ever about first contact and the first, is The Day the Earth Stood Still. Because that is truly, the original and the new one, it is really how people would react. Without even any questioning or anything like that, let's shoot first. Instead of, hey, let's figure out what these people want first.
And that's kind of the mentality that we have, and it's a mentality that I've noticed in the story that's being asked of the police force around the country. Are you being trained to shoot first and ask questions later? And from what you just said, that's not only a police issue, it's the mentality of our country, and in many cases around the world, to shoot first and ask questions later. We're so fearful that this is where we've led ourselves or allowed ourselves to be led to. And that's not necessary. We're better than that.
Yeah, and we're seeing things in the news very similar to that, in which police officers, soldiers are shooting first and then reacting later, and then they're getting away with it. They're basically saying, well, that's part of the job. Part of the job is to shoot first. We don't worry about the other stuff because their life is more important. Well, that's not true.
No, it's not.
And yet that seems to be
There's a tremendous amount of police brutality going on in this country that needs to be addressed because everyone's being affected by it. And it's a mentality that exists in this world that is a mentality in pretty much humankind, unfortunately, that we want to kill each other and fight and war. And, the extraterrestrial, that's not what this whole mission is about. As you said, they weren't here to hurt us. So why, if they aren't here to hurt us, why are we hurting ourselves? That's the strange question. No one from the inside is hurt, outside is hurting us. All the problems are coming from within. And when we stop those, I think we'll be better off. Well, Dirk, thank you very much for being here today.
Well, thank you.
We'll connect again next week with some more stories.
Sounds great. I can't wait.
Very good. All
Have
right,
a great evening, Josh.
Thanks, Dirk. Have a good evening. All right, this is Josh Poet. You're listening to First Contact Radio. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Helps Weight Loss is the most complete weight loss resource on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The Helps door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. Ask the Fat Man. HelpsWeightLoss.com is the place to go.
KCAA.
Welcome back to First Contact Radio. How you doing, everybody? Second hour is beginning. This is our first time here on AM radio with this show. For many of you might have been come over listening to us online. I've been here 5 years at First Contact Radio, and this is our first show here at KCAA. So thanks to KCAA. Let me take a moment just to give a little word out to our sponsors here. Helps Weight Loss, the most complete weight loss resource center on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The Helps door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. So the link will be available. You can check them out. All right, pulled up some stories here. Want to bring you, if you feel like you want to call in, talk about anything, 888-909-1050 is the number, and please call in if you'd like. First story here I thought was very interesting. This is the largest ancient stone block discovered in Baalbek. In the summer of 2014, the Oriental Department of the German Archaeological Institute conducted excavations in the stone quarry of Baalbek, ancient Heliopolis. In Lebanon, there lies the monolith Hajar al-Habila, or the stone of the pregnant woman. Similar stone blocks of 20 m length were used for the podium of the huge temple of Jupiter in the Roman sanctuary of Baalbek. The aim of this year's excavations was to find new data about the mining techniques and the transporting of the megaliths. Archaeologists documented processing traces and investigated the old dumps of the mining activities in order to locate datable and stratifiable shards of pottery and small finds. Archaeologists found that the monolith Hajar al-Hiba was left in the quarry because the stone of the block's edge proved to be poor and the monolith could easily be damaged during its transport. It says below the Hajar al-Hilba and directly beside it there's another megalithic stone block even bigger than the first one that measures 1960 by 6 by 5 by 5 meters. In order to determine the exact height, the trenches should be extended in one of the next archaeological expeditions of the site. So It's always amazing, we keep finding these large stones around the different parts of the world. Shows that civilizations were here a lot longer than we realize, intelligent civilizations. One of the things that I wanted to bring up today, and to your attention here, is the Book of Enoch. And if you haven't read through the Book of Enoch, I encourage you to do so. During the daily shows, we just spent the last 2 months going through this entire book. And what's amazing is this book is part of the Apocrypha. It's one of the books that was written that could have been in the Bible, should be in the Bible, but it was left out for some other choices. And the story says that this book was left out instead of the Book of Revelation. Well, one of the things that I believe is important about this book is the message. And the message right off the bat, in the very first chapter here, says, "The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blesseth the elect and the righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and the godless are to be removed." So I think this sums everything up here, because we're told about a time, the day of tribulation. We are looking at the time we're living in as being that time of tribulation. And according to this book, the wicked and the godless are going to be removed. Now, this goes contrary to the story of rapture, because we hear the rapture story says all the good people are going to be removed. But this isn't the only book that talks about this. The Book of Revelation also talks in such a manner. So it would appear to be that there is help that is out there, and the help will be returning to the planet. But those who are going to have the problems are not the ones who are doing the good job, not the ones who are living in harmony with life and living the proper way. It's the ones who are controlling. Those are the ones who are going to have the problems. And I think if we look at the Book of Revelation and we look at the story, the Beast of Revelation, and we look at society today, we can see that beast is very much alive in the world, and we've allowed it to grow, and we've allowed it to be alive. It's our politicians, it's the military-industrial complex, it's the banking systems, it's the systems that we have of communication with each other, on and on. We've trapped ourselves, and we have this huge beast, and there's fear that is out there in the world trying to keep us from wanting to express ourselves properly. But the prophecy, the books, go back and they say this over and over, that the wicked and the godless are going to be removed. And if you go through this book and you read through, and there's many, many chapters here to this book, what you will find that by the time you get to the end of this, you will have found over and over and over again is the same sentence and the same phrase reiterated in different ways, that the wicked and the godless are going to be removed. So that should give us hope as people upon this planet to understand that there is a creator out there, there is help out there that is not going to allow us to fall prey to all the badness that is down here. That there is hope, and that we have to continue to believe in who we are and what we're about, and bide our time. There's a lot of lessons to be learned. What's going on right now is intense. It's an intense experience for the planet, but we can go back to these type of books and we can begin to understand. One of the things that's been talked about for a long while has been, who is the Antichrist? And we look at numbers 666. But also I want to point out that the number 616 is a number that actually seems to be the number as opposed to 616. Have you ever heard of that? So some modern versions of the Bible, as well as recent news articles, call the accepted reading of Revelation 13:18 into question. But do these claims have merit? So pick up almost any English version of the Bible, turn to Revelation 13:18, and it will read something like, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. While this biblical verse may not be the best known, the number 666 contained within it is recognized by most. This number's association with the last day's character, known as the Antichrist, has caused it to be popularized, sometimes glamorized, and often feared by religious and non-religious people alike. However, some have cast doubt on the authenticity of this reading and asked the question, is 666 really the number of the beast? For example, the margin of the New Revised Standard Version reads, other ancient authorities read 616. The notes in the New American Standard Bible say one early manuscript reads 616. Furthermore, news articles have appeared with such ominous titles as Beats Real Mark devalued to 616 and 666 is the wrong number of prophetic beast. All of these things raise question. What is the real number of the beast as recorded in Revelation 13:18? So why is it important? Seems to be important because this beast represents the enemy. Now, we don't want to put ourselves in enemy consciousness because that doesn't do any good, but at least should allow us to identify who it is that we need to be aware of out there. And even though there's a lot of bad things going on in the world, and there are people that are playing the parts to do some of those bad things, I believe that behind the scenes there is a spiritual force that is moving them forward. I believe that the Bible and the other spiritual books are very accurate when they say that there is a spiritual battle going on, a battle between the light and the dark in this planet. And we see it played out all the time amongst humankind in the wars we have, in the violence we have towards each other, in the way we communicate, in the way we try to control each other. So for a long while, we've been having these problems. But if we find our enemy, so who is the 666? Is it really important that we know? I think there's a lot of them. A lot of Antichrist, a lot of 666 or 616 or whatever it is. But we don't want to necessarily get caught so up, I think, in all of that. I think we want to use our common sense as well and feel what's going on in the world. Because if we have to rely upon always going into the very technical details, I think we get lost. Remember, Jesus said we have to be like a child in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. A child does things simply. And so if we operate from that same simplicity as a child, then when we see something that is bad, we'll understand that it's bad and we'll just walk away from it. We won't have to go through some ritualistic means of understanding. So we need to find out, why? How did we get away from this childlike part of who we are? We've grown up. And as we grow up, we put that aside and we think none of that's important. But that's really the most important. The most important to deal with this spiritual battle that's out there. I've got another article up here dealing with the same issues, 666, not 616. This one has reasons why one would choose one over the other. It says the article cites just one main conclusion, but I'm the type of person who likes to check things out for himself rather than trust someone else to do my thinking. I want to see data and reasoning he used to conclude 616 is correct, even though it's in the minority of manuscripts. For example, when I decided that Jehovah was probably the correct transliteration for God's name in the Old Testament, I did not do so because of Nathema Gordon said so. I did so after looking through the Old Testament manuscripts myself. So I think that's an important part. We need to learn how to research for ourselves. We've given up that right. We've given up that ability. And we'll be stronger. We'll be better for ourselves if we do. All right, there you have it. That is what's going on with this segment. We're going to jump away. We've got a couple commercials. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. Stay tuned.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Helps Weight Loss is the most complete weight loss resource on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The Helps door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. Ask the Fat Man. HelpsWeightLoss.com is the place to go.
Other talk stations use words like savage. Sounds brutal. Hey, it's all good. Your superstation, AM1050, News Talk KCAA.
Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here. So as we go along our journey of learning, it's very important that we find a way to tap into the spiritual aspect of who we are. There's a particular article here I want to bring up to you and want you to be familiar with. It's by a woman named Michelle Walling, and it's called 33 Keys to Spiritual Mastery. And it's an excellent article, and spiritual mastery is the recognition that energy comes from the Creator source and will return to its source after the experience of separation ends. As we traveled away from source to experience breadcrumbs of remembrance in the form of keys, we're dropping along the path so we could find our way back. Part of the experience of returning involves choosing to exist in dense physicality into mastery, and mastery of this human experience can be compared to learning how to successfully walk across hot coals. In ancient times, initiation path involved trekking across the land to sacred sites, transmuting fear along the way with challenges of ascending magnitude. Today, our initiation challenge comes from living in dominated and controlled society on a sick planet, creating a reality that seems almost impossible to change. Having the experience from prior lifetimes of mastery prepared us for the lifetime with the goal of raising consciousness to unity and high vibration, which is the key to returning to source. Initiates were supported by those who held on to techniques and rituals throughout history. The esoteric knowledge was held secretly by priests and priestesses, Essenes, Knights Templar, and Freemasons, and was divulged into a certain level of fear of transmutation, and responsibility was attained. Sometimes the initiate failed the test and died in the physical, having to reincarnate again. Successive reincarnations added cumulative karma to the mix, which required added difficulties and contracts each carnation in order to achieve balance. Mastery of self activated 10 extra strands of the etheric DNA that overlaid 2 physical strands and opened the door to living in full consciousness. Such power of living in the I Am presence required responsibility that had to be proven because of the misuse of power that created the fall in Atlantis. The resurrection of human sovereignty could only occur from within humanity's own actions because of the rules of free will on planet Earth. Life happens in cycles upon cycles and can be measured by the stars. Those who watch the stars know that golden opportunity to return to the path would occur at this time. Thousands of years in planning came down to awakening in this lifetime to what we came here to do. We came here to raise our vibration of consciousness in alignment with the planet and our Creator source, which will activate our dormant strands of DNA in the etheric to allow us to experience life, enjoy peace, and unconditional love. So we're going through this change. It's a change in DNA. We've been told about this over and over. We get this message from extraterrestrials that are assisting us. We've had spiritual teachings that we can go through and look that describe this process. And here we go. And here are 33 keys that are very significant keys to this process of understanding. Okay? So I'm going to just go through each one. I'm just going to read the title and leave the rest and the link available for you. So 1 is the key to awakening is timing. 2nd, the key to meditation is grounding. 3, the key to heart chakra is love. 4, the key to creation is geometry. 5, the key to raising your vibration is positive emotion. 6, the key to loving another is loving yourself. 7, the key to loving yourself is recognizing who you are. 8, the key to manifestation is thought. 9, the key to discernment is intuition. 10, the key to forgiveness is compassion. 11, the key to transmuting karma is intention and awareness. 12, the key to protection is prayer. 13, the key to faith is trust. 14, the key to joy is doing what you love. 15, the key to receiving is gratitude. 16, the key to grace is being the example. 17, the key to humility is wisdom. 18, the key to centering is oming. 19, the key to the throat chakra is truth. 20, the key to levitation is sound. 21, the key to confirmation is synchronicity. 22, the key to peace is the golden rule. 23, the key to the foundation of youth is the perfected DNA template. 25, the key to our future is the now. I skipped one. 23, the key to standing in your own power is knowledge. 26, the key to the golden age is balance. 27, the key to all answers lie within. 28, the key to universal travel is the human body in its divine perfection. 29, the key to the cosmos is oneness. 30, the key to oneness is non-judgment. 31, the key to unity is multi-dimensional collective consciousness. 32, the key to freedom is expansion. And 33, the key to spiritual mastery is simplicity. So these are some pretty good keys, a lot to contemplate. And if you spend time going through all of these keys, just one at a time, you don't have to go through and do them all at once, but go through and see how many of them you already know. Chances are, if you've been on the path of working on your own spiritual evolvement for a while, that many of these keys, if not all of them, have keys that you've mastered, that you're aware of or you're working on. And so that's awesome. And these are the things that make a difference in the world. You see, at the beginning of the show, I talk about energy. Everything is energy. And because everything is energy, we have the ability to affect that energy. There's a book called The Kybalion by the Three Initiates. And in the Kybalion, it states that energy is all mental. It's all part of the mind. That's the first principle. We live in a mental universe. So if we live in a mental universe, and that means we have the ability to affect the great mind. And that is what these principles of the Kybalion say, that everything in this mental universe corresponds to each other. Everything is connected in how we communicate. And so if we have a thought, we can use that thought, put it into the collective unconsciousness and make a change. So when we see all of the energy that's taking place in the world and all this stuff that's going on, there's a great opportunity at that moment for either positive or negative change, because energy is just energy. So all the stuff that's going on with Ferguson, yes, there's a lot of anger in the air. Yes, there's a lot of energy, but you know what? There's an opportunity to transmute this energy into something positive. So just because people are misunderstanding right now, that's okay. It can all be turned around, but we all have to have that willingness to make that turnaround. And it starts very simply by just planting seeds of positivity. The things we say to ourselves, the things we say to others. And it makes all the difference in the world. Going through these 33 steps, if you go through these, and those who have been practicing and meditating, you're already going through life and you're treating people in ways that they should be treated. Very important indeed. So before I go on, I want to jump over to this message here. I like to play a nice little spiritual message every day. This is a message here. It's just 1 minute and 4 seconds long. It's from Angel Gabriel. And let me just, quick, short little message here. Here we go.
Archangel Gabriel's Daily Message / Saturday, November 29, 2014. By Trinity Esoterics. Many of you hold back, waiting for a situation to prove itself to you. We understand that you see this as being cautious, but this is faulty thinking, because if you are entering into any situation with doubt, fear, or distrust, you are automatically blocking the flow and its ability to bloom into its full potential. Giving partial energy can only ever result in partial results. Such an approach comes from fear of the unknown. Dear ones, your life is not happening to you, it is responding to you. You are the one who sets the energetic tone for your life expression. When you finally accept your infinite ability to create, you will shine brightly and beautifully, and from there, will create the life of your dreams. Till Angel Gabriel.
All right. Now, what's cool about that message, just talked about energy. I didn't listen to that beforehand. I go with these messages and I play them, and synchronicity lets us know that we're on the right path, that we can change our energy. So that's great. That's great for us that we have that opportunity to do that. All right. So it's about time for us to jump away for another break. When I come back, I do have a guest that's going to be calling in. We're going to have a nice, good conversation about spirituality, positivity, good news, and all that other kind of stuff. So stay tuned. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. This is Josh Poet. You're listening to First Contact Radio.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Helps Weight Loss is the most complete weight loss resource on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The Helps door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. Ask the Fat Man. HelpsWeightLoss.com is the place to go.
KCAA.
All right, welcome back. First Contact Radio. So, I've got a guest, and this guest has been a friend of mine for many years. Her name is Lisa Carbonara. Lisa is a certified life coach. She focuses on health, fitness, and positive thinking. And so that's why I asked her to be on the show today, and not only today, but she's going to be here on a regular basis talking about positivity, because that's what this is all about. Lisa, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm excellent. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing very well, thank you. So, why don't you let everybody know a little bit about who you are, the type of work that you do. I know all about what you do, but why don't you, in your own words, just kind of give people a brief about who you are and all that good stuff?
Sure. You know, Josh, I do different things depending on who I'm talking to. And what I mean by that is, okay, we can use terms like life coach or fitness coach and all this and that, but for me what it means is building relationships with people, seeing how I can be either of service to them or what we can share together and see where it goes from there. It's not like I can change their life. It's not about that. It's about inspiring somebody, or they inspire me. It's together. So we talk about goals and the best way that we can achieve those goals, like taking the first step.
Very good. Very good. And how long have you been doing this?
Oh gosh, so many years, but in different forms. I was a counselor at a weight loss center for years, years ago, actually. And life coaching is a certification that I got a couple years ago. Actually, I've been doing so many different things in my life, but when I look at the common thread, it was always in an industry that was about building relationships with people. Okay. Even when I was doing hair and makeup, and you become very close with people. And you hear their stories, you become part of their life. Maybe it's their wedding day and they're inviting you into their home to do their hair, but it's about their image, it's about their, personal self-esteem. It's about so much more than their haircut in those days. So as my life, went on, I just found that personal development on myself has helped me stay out of depressing situations. I'm not saying I don't get depressed ever or this or that, but really relying on others for support and really concentrating on how can I shift my thoughts or these feelings into something positive. And some days it can be really hard for me or for people I'm talking to. I mean, some serious things going on in the world, as you were just speaking about. And
So what is something practical? Somebody comes to you and, a friend is talking to you and they're having some problems. What is something practical that somebody can do right here, right now, anyone listening to the show, if they're having some challenges, they could do to lessen some of those challenges?
Okay, well, it depends on what the challenge is. And first and foremost, there are different levels of challenges, right?
Okay.
So I want to first point out that if somebody is ever feeling like so depressed, that kind of thing, they do definitely need to seek out help. I mean, I want to point that out because letting others know is very, very important. And I believe from what I'm told and what I have even felt myself, isolation feels more comfortable. And, we isolate different ways. Shut off our phones, don't talk to anybody, call in sick, put the blankets over our head. Who knows? People do all different things. But even if it doesn't feel good to tell somebody, do your best to let somebody know, because you never know, something they say or do or show you or connect you to can shift your mind. Just one little step. I believe that sometimes we may think, okay, I'm feeling this low, or I have this challenge ahead of me. I don't know how to go from, A to Z. You don't have to go from A to Z. How about just, A to B? Or one little step is a compound effect. Every single word we say, every action we do has an effect. It really does, even if we don't even know about it. So just doing whatever you can do. If somebody's in bed, just get out of bed if you can, or make a phone call. One little thing. It doesn't have to solve your problem that day. But when you look at the compounded effect of it, it really makes a big difference.
Right. So, that's very important. And do you do any practices like yoga, meditation that really help you?
I do. I have to tell you, exercise has been one of my saving graces throughout my whole entire life. From self-esteem issues, just a young girl, or any age girl, really. I'm talking about myself, but just wanting to be, what media is saying. I don't think this way anymore, but back then, you want to be the same size as your friends or whatever. And exercise has really, really saved me in so many ways. Not only physically, on the outside, but it really does change your mental outlook. The endorphins are real. The exercise high is very real. So there's still days today where I'm coaching somebody or myself. It's like, I don't really feel like exercising. I want to do something else.
Right.
Or maybe my mindset. The mindset. Mindset's behind almost everything, right? So if you can just take the first step, put on your exercise clothes or your running shoes or whatever you're going to do and just start, I guarantee after 30 minutes or whatever, however long, 15 minutes, you're going to feel better most likely if it's something that you set out that you want to do.
Sometimes you just have to take those baby steps.
Yes, absolutely. So if somebody comes to me and their challenge is they want to lose weight, well, okay, let's not look at how you're going to lose the 50 or 100 pounds today. Let's go over what you're going to do today and, to take those first steps, exactly what you said. To look at the whole big picture, it can be great to have that vision, have the reward in mind. But otherwise, if you take too much on, you can get overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's easy to do these days. There's so much going on that being overwhelmed is very easy to do.
Oh, my gosh, overwhelmed in so many ways. Focus. There's so many things to do that, it takes our attention and takes time. And sometimes procrastination happens when we're overwhelmed, right? That's one of my things that I've worked on and I still work on. I want to start so many different projects, or I want to do so many different things, and so I start a little bit, or I don't know where to start. I don't tackle the big things, the ones that I really want to do, and I start doing these silly things in the house. Silly for me, like maybe I have something major I need to clean up or organize, but instead that'll be the day that I take down a curtain that has never had to be cleaned, but, it's a way of procrastinating because we're overwhelmed. So the practical suggestion that I have is it's going to be the same, but it's just start. You don't have to finish. And once you start, it just continues. You just get the flow, and you feel so much better when it's done. So accomplished. So
now, do you do any type of goal setting?
Yes, goal setting for myself and for individuals, absolutely. And the goal setting is very, very different on an individual basis, too. It depends on what somebody's challenge is and what they're capable of, too, because it's not cookie cutter. Let's use weight loss again. If I have 3 people who even all want to lose the same amount of weight, all doing the same exercise, which, of course, is rare, everybody's different, even so, we'd have to set the goals differently because maybe somebody can hear direction or suggestions better. Somebody else might want to see it, feel it. So there's just really need to listen to people and know that everything can be adjusted along the way. If something's not working or doesn't feel right for anybody, we can change things. This thing is just, again, I say it over and over, just starting. Make that decision. Start in the mind again. Make that decision to start. You don't even need to know exactly how, and just roll with it. Adjust as you go along. You know, just by saying yes sends a message to the universe, sends a message to yourself, sends a message to others around you. So opportunity starts opening, and you start attracting situations into your life.
So what you're saying is that it really all starts with your attitude that we all have, and when we change our attitude and our mindset, it affects everything, and others just know it without us having to say anything.
100% mindset. Absolutely.
So It's energy, all about energy.
It is all about energy. I loved what you were saying when you were reading that list. It's great stuff. Yes, energy. And energy is so many things, like you were saying. It's, you know, words are real. Sometimes, you know, people say, oh, the old thing kids would say, it's sticks and stones. Words do have power. They have energy. So we can use them to shift thoughts. We can use them to change the world, really, because we can change. Change starts with one. You know, how many times have we heard that? But it's so true. I change myself, and my attitude and my actions are going to go out into the world differently. And everybody who I come into contact with, it's still, I'm not saying what I do changes everybody else, but it certainly can, depending on where they're at. So we all have all these different energies. And it's about coming to that collective consciousness or unconsciousness sometimes, right? Because people aren't always paying attention to what they're doing. So, but every single thing matters. It really does. So energy is really everything.
Everything indeed, yep. It sure is. Well, Lisa, anything else before we go for today?
Oh, I could keep going on forever, but really, I wanted to thank you for inviting me. And
Absolutely.
I love the show, and I'm really, really enjoying it, and congratulations on everything. I've enjoyed it for years.
Well, thank you very much, and yes, I really appreciate you being here and the positive words, and like you to come back, you know, on a regular basis and just kind of give some positivity out to what's going on. So we'll talk to you again in an upcoming show.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thanks, Lisa. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, very good. So that is Lisa Carbonara, and it's very important that we, you know, find a way to be positive in the world. Very important. With so much going on that's out there that's challenging us, we can get down, but we can also be happy through all of this, and we can move through all of these problems without getting caught up. And I think that's part of the process. Because if not, what are we going to do? Get caught up in everything and go around miserable through life? That doesn't do anybody any good. All right, let's jump away for our last break. Actually, before we do, let me tell you one more time here about HELPS. HELPS weight loss. The most complete weight loss. Whoop. Here we go. It's the most complete weight loss resource center on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The HELPS store is open. All you have to do is walk through it. So there you have it. That is our sponsor, HELPS Weight Loss. The link will be available. Please check them out. See what they're about. See the opportunities that are available for you, your friends, and your family. That's it. I'm going to jump away. We have one more break before we finish things up. Stay tuned. I'll be back.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
HELPS Weight Loss is the most complete weight loss resource on the net. Lose weight, have fun, make friends, create wealth, win big. The HELPS door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. Ask the Fat Man. HelpsWeightLoss.com is the place to go.
The other station claims to be local. Since when is Glendale local? KCAA News Talk 1050, your true local station.
Welcome back to One First Contact Radio. Still kind of caught up in the old trend here. Anyway, this is the last segment of the show. So we've talked a lot about a lot of things. The energies of the day, Sagittarius. We've got a moon sign of Pisces, so we're dealing with fire, and we're dealing with water, ideas, and emotions. We see that these ideas and these emotions in the world are playing themselves out. There's a lot of anger on one hand and violence, and the energy needs to be channeled. We have spiritual messages that are reminding us that there's positive outcome for us, that despite how dark things look, that we can make things better and everything will work out. And here we are. And now we have an opportunity to do something with that. So what are we going to do with this? Well, I like to end every show kind of looking at the positive aspect of things, do a little bit of prayer, a little meditation, and then send us on our way. If anybody has any particular prayer requests, call in. Let me know right now, 888-909-1050. In the meantime, while we're doing that, I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to read 2-3 passages from this book, The Warrior of the Light. This is, if you haven't read through this book, here we go. The Warrior of the Light knows that he has much to be grateful for. He was helped in his struggle by the angels. Celestial forces placed each thing in its place, thus allowing him to give his best. His companions say he's so lucky, and the warrior does have sometimes achieve things beyond his capabilities. That is why at sunset he kneels and gives thanks for the protective cloak surrounding him. His gratitude, however, is not limited to the spiritual world. He never forgets his friends, for the blood mingled with his on the battlefield. The warrior does not need to be reminded of the help given him by others. He is the first to remember and make sure to share with them any rewards he receives. All the world's roads leads to the heart of the warrior. He plunges unhesitantly into the river of passions, always flowing through his life. The warrior knows that he is free to choose his desires and makes these decisions with courage, detachment, and sometimes with just a touch of madness. He embraces his passions and enjoys them intensely. He knows that there is no need to renounce the pleasures of conquest. They are part of life and bring joy to all who participate in them. But he never loses sight of those things that last or the strong bonds that are forged over time. A warrior can distinguish between the transient and the enduring. And one more. A warrior of light does not rely on strength alone. He makes use of his opponent's energy too. When he enters the fight, all he has is his enthusiasm and the moves and the strikes that he learned during this training. As the fight progresses, he discovers that enthusiasm and training are not enough to win. What counts is experience. Then he opens his heart to the universe and asks God to give him the inspiration he needs to turn every blow from his enemy into a lesson in self-defense. His companions say he's so superstitious, he stopped fighting in order to pray. He even shows respect for his opponent's tricks. The warrior does not respond to these provocations. He knows that without the inspiration and experience, no amount of training will help him. So these are all passages from a book. It's called The Warrior of the Light by Paulo Coelho. And if you haven't read through this book, it's awesome. And every Saturday I'm going to go and I'm going to read a couple of passages from there because I think that they're great little lessons for us to learn about life. All right, that brings us to our meditation for today. So what I'd like you to do is simply to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale. Take another deep breath and exhale. If you're driving a car, don't close your eyes. And just imagine yourself walking down the path of life. And as you're walking along the path of life, you see others along that path. And as you see others along that path, you see some that are struggling and having a tough time. So you extend a kind hand to them, a kind word, and you notice such a simple gesture makes a huge difference in their lives. And you notice that by your example, they extend that kindness to somebody else, and so on and so on. Till pretty soon, one act of kindness has spread around the whole world. So let's just imagine ourselves being kind to everybody in the world, despite what situation goes on, knowing that kindness is the first step towards resolving any conflict. Let us imagine ourselves wearing the armor of God that protects us from all injustices that exist. And from this place, let us imagine sending love and light into the world around this planet. Imagine your chakras all open, starting with the chakra at the bottom of the spine, red, letting the energy raise up to the chakra above it at the belly button, orange. From there, the energy raises up just below the rib cage, yellow, up higher yet to the heart, green, to the throat chakra, imagine the color blue. At the third eye, imagine the color indigo, and finally the top of the head, the crown chakra, imagine the color violet, and then the light continues on into the cosmos, bright white light connecting with the planets and the stars, deep, deep out in space. And feel yourself connected to the energies of the cosmos, of space, and the energies of the earth. And there you are, a child within this energetic field. And imagine just sending out from your heart chakra the color green, love all around the planet. And just think wherever there's problems going along, just think of you sending love down, and know that the moment you do, that love goes down to help to heal a situation. And imagine millions of us around the planet sending love. And then imagine the look on our faces when we realize such a simple act of sending love makes such a huge difference to this world being the world that we want. So let's just imagine ourselves on that journey, sending out love and light. Let's contemplate the positivity in the world. And let's just imagine ourselves continuing the rest of this weekend, sending out love and light and positivity. So let your subconscious mind continue on that journey. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment, filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment, filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment, happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. And there you have it, my friends. That is the show for today. We've got just a few minutes left before we sign out. Just remember, no matter how wacky it is out there, and it is wacky, we can't deny that, but we can make a difference. This world doesn't have to be a world that pulls us down. There's 7 billion people here on the planet right now as we sit here this evening. It's a lot of people, and there's a lot of different thoughts, like school. Some are kindergartners, some are graduate students, and everything in between. And the objective is not to fight with each other, but to help each other to evolve. And if we help each other, just imagine where we'll be and what we'll do in this world. I think it would be pretty amazing, because we are created as divine beings. And as divine beings, that gives us the power to create. So as you go through the weekend and you continue to experience what is going on in the world, just see those moments that are having problems and send some positivity. You don't have to tell anybody about it. You don't have to make a big deal about it. Just take a moment and just send love, and watch how those little acts, those little moments will make a difference. You may not be expressing it out in a big way, but they will. So that's what we do here at First Contact Radio. For those of you who are new, I hope you are able to tune in every Saturday night for these 2 hours and check out what's going on. I think that I believe that there's a lot of hope and possibility that exists in this world, just as much as there's all the other. You know, one thing that's really important, we'll talk about Dolores Cannon on a future show. Again, Dolores Cannon was a hypnotherapist. She spent a lot of time working with her patients, and over time, she started having a being speak through her clients that were hypnotized. The first one was Nostradamus, and they had a long communication, and she wrote a series of books all about it, and she's written many, many books over the years. And one of the last bits of information she had before she passed on several months ago was about the fact that Earth is pulling apart into two different worlds. She said that it's pulling apart, just separating. The one world would be the world where the lower consciousness continued to exist, and the other would be a world that would rise in higher consciousness. And this story coincides with the story that the Bible talks about, a new heaven and a new earth. And we also have channeled messages that come through from extraterrestrial sources that also talk about this. So if that's the case, then we need to be aware of the separation that is taking place. Jesus talked about it, the separating of the wheat from the chaff. Well, in this separation, if being on the world of higher consciousness is just a matter of thinking positive thoughts that's going to put us there, then that's what we need to do. And if the thing that keeps you stuck on the other world is the fear, well, we know where the fear comes from. It's being pumped out from all around the corporate world that we live in. But we don't have to participate in that. We just have to send the love and help those who are lost understand the way. Because those in the corporate media and the corporate world that are pumping out the love, the fear and all this, they're just people too, just misguided and caught up. So rather than condemn them for their activities, we just need to put them to the top of the prayer list and keep going, because God has a bigger plan for all of us. And I trust in that plan. And I know that that plan will get us through. That's it for today. Thank you so much for being here, First Contact Radio. I'll be back next week. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.